So it's pretty obvious that I'm a big Powerpuff Girls fan. It's one of my favorite TV shows of all time, if not my absolute favorite. Despite that, no show is perfect. Not even this one. There are a few episodes that I think are not as good as others. So here are my top 10 worst Powerpuff Girls episodes, in my opinion. Number 10 is Little Misinterprets. This episode is about the girls overhearing the professor talking about them, although really he isn't. He's talking about cakes designed to look like the girls, but they misinterpret the situation and try to get back at him, only to realize they were in the wrong the whole freaking episode. This episode would have been good if it wasn't for one little detail. The fact that the audience knows the girls are misinterpreting the situation. It just makes you think that the girls are overreacting. Blossom even cries in this episode, almost as much as Bubbles does, over something that isn't even happening. This is one of those instances where one little detail throws the whole project off. Number 9 is a made-up story. This episode is about a one-time villain named Mascara putting makeup on all the faces of Townsville, except for Blossom's for some reason. Okay, despite the villain having kind of a stupid plan, that's actually not my biggest problem with the episode. Blossom is. Now, I don't hate her as much as I used to, but Blossom is still my least favorite Powerpuff Girl. This episode is a pretty good example as to why. She's kind of smug in this episode, and dare I even say it, sometimes she can even be a bit dumb in this episode. Like here.
Here, try this. Hold on, Buttercup. Blossom, I meant use the water.
Yeah, no shit, honey!
So yeah, I don't like Blossom in this episode, although that does make the ending kind of satisfying. Number 8 is Burglar Alarmed. This episode is about a burglar robbing the Powerpuff Girls at night, and since the professor is sleeping and they can't make noise, they decide to torture him by pretending to be creepy ghost children. The main problem with this episode is the girls themselves. They tell the burglar to keep it down, not to wake up the professor, when there are literally scenes just like this. Yeah, if the burglar snooping around is going to wake up the professor, then the girls flying around the building at top speed is definitely going to wake him up. Hypocrites much? Also, I feel really bad for this burglar guy. I don't care if he brought it on himself. This is too severe of a punishment for him. Like, it's pretty obvious that this guy probably doesn't even know who the girls are. Heck, Buttercup even says at one point in the episode,
I mean, what burglar in their right mind would try to rob the Powerpuff Girls?
This episode isn't completely bad, though. I love the part where Bubbles goes downstairs to get her milk. It's just a really cute scene, and I can kind of see myself in Bubbles' position with me getting some water at nighttime. But that's really the only good thing that I like about this episode. As soon as that scene is over, I'm kind of compelled to just stop the episode and continue on with the next.
The nice burglar man?
Number 7 is Roughing It Up. This episode is about the professor taking the girls on a camping trip, which they don't really look too enthusiastic about, by the way. Hey, and then Fuzzy and his kids come and be loud, obnoxious hillbillies, and the girls feel compelled to fight him, but the professor says no fighting in this trip. Like the girls and Fuzzy and his children are all his children. Also, this episode really makes you hate the Fuzzy Lumpkins and his kids, so you're really more on the girl's side. So the professor just feels kind of annoying in this episode. The professor does fight Fuzzy at the end, but really it's kind of too late, as the girls and Fuzzy's nephews have already made up. So yeah, that was kind of a disappointment. Number 6 is Not So Awesome Blossom. This episode is Blossom losing her leader groove, although really I think she's just making this all up in her head, and she flat out abandons her family and teammates. And Buttercup, who just tries to take out, gets treated like crap. This episode kind of has Blossom overreacting. Like the scene at the beginning, the solution was so obvious. And Blossom was obviously struggling, so Buttercup decided to step in and help. But no, it has to be a bad thing. Because Buttercup can't really have any grace in this show. So, after Blossom leaves her family, Buttercup tries to help, but he gets put in the wrong for some reason. So, Buttercup put in the wrong just for trying to help? Why not make that an episode? A bad episode. Number 5 is Girls Gone Wild. This episode is about a couple named Sandra and Stanley Practice suing the professor and banning the girls from using their superpowers because all the parents of Townsville think that it's a bad influence. Now, this episode actually could have been pretty funny. There are a lot of parents out there who overreact to superhero media, making their kids not watch it because it's a bad influence. So, if they were poking fun at this could have been really funny. But the pacing is horrible. The beginning is rushed, the middle is way too long, and the ending is rushed too. Number 4 is Nuthin Special. This episode is a letdown. It's about Buttercup feeling jealous of Blossom and Bubbles because they have special power and she doesn't. So after going throughout all their powers through the whole episode, and for some reason, no one seems to care about the damages they're making, Buttercup finds out that she can curl her tongue and no one else in Townsville can't. Aside from the damage issue I mentioned earlier, the main episode is once again Blossom. Buttercup is just trying to find something that makes her unique, and the whole time Blossom is shoving it in her face that she can do the things that Buttercup does. Even at the end when Buttercup finds a special power, she still tries to bring Buttercup down and one-up her. That's not a leader. Or if it is, then it's a bad leader. I mean, just look at this.
You know what? It's not even a special power.
Wow. You fucking bitch.
Number 3 is Sunscream. This episode is about the girls getting sunburned because they were too cocky and didn't want to put on sunblock. Now, Bubbles actually was right in going to the professor from the beginning, but neither of the two girls decide to go to the professor for help. Buttercup at least doesn't want to be embarrassed, which that's an understandable reason, but Blossom's like, we have to maintain our professional image. If you need help, go get it. Also, this episode is gross, slow, and just a mess. Number 2 is Toast of the Town. This episode is about the mayor being babysat by the professor, and he wants toast. And while messing around in the lab, he finds something that he thinks is hair gel, and it causes him to grow enormous. The girls have to try and give him Antidote X to turn him back to normal, but he throws a temper tantrum, and no one bothers to discipline him? What the heck? This episode is annoying, but hey, at least they didn't make my favorite Powerpuff Girl the brat like some reboot episode. Sorry, I hate Salamander. I'll tackle that some other time. And number 1 is PPGs. Man, I hate this episode. This whole premise is silly. A wet bed, the girls arguing and mistrusting each other over a wet bed. They get stuck in trances over a wet bed all day. Really? Something so minor. Also, this episode, like the end of the second act, it tries to make us P2. What's up with that? Are you trying to make it ironic that we have to take a bathroom break? Well, why do we really want to take a bathroom break in the middle of an episode anyway? Unless it's an episode like this, then I take all the bathroom breaks that I need. But like I said, I love this show, and I don't hold a few bad episodes against the show that's overall great. I might make a best list soon, But I don't know, this was kind of a long video to make. It took a lot more effort than my usual videos, even my drawing videos. So I don't know about that, but hopefully sometime soon. Anyways, leave your worst episodes in the comments, and I'll see you guys next time. See you, peeps!